All right, that's us. We're on. Um, okay, guys, I'd like to welcome any listeners to the first episode of General Chit Chat. I'm Paul, and today I have my good friend Dee on with me.
Hello.
How you doing, man?
All
How are you
good,
this
all good.
morning?
Pretty cold.
Pretty cold. It is. It's quite
Cold
nippy
one
out.
morning.
It is nippy out there. So yeah, this is actually our second run through. We were unlucky to actually lose the first recording. So basically, why I wanted to start a podcast was to try and bring awareness to mental health situation in Northern Ireland, which is pretty dramatic. There's very, very high suicide rates, and both Dee and I have had a few issues ourselves with mental health, and we just kind of want to talk today about our own experiences and maybe reach out to a few people that can help shed some light, or reach out to a few organisations out there that are helping people. I guess we'll start with yourself. You were saying, well, you end up quite depressed and on antidepressants
Yeah, it
yourself.
kind of started off for me whenever I first got diagnosed with my illness. I started off.
So what's your illness?
I actually have seronegative rheumatoid arthritis.
Okay.
So I wasn't. Well, I was born with it, but I wasn't. Didn't have any of the side effects or anything like that.
Okay.
Basically, whenever I was 21, I'm coming 25 now. In a few weeks. So whenever just after I turned 21, or maybe just before, can't actually remember. I started off with my foot had just swollen up, and basically started off initially as reactive arthritis. Happened on both feet. Had to get both feet operated on 3 times.
So what happened to your feet that you had to get?
I don't actually know how it started or happened. Just all of a sudden one day my toe started swelling up and changed to my foot. I actually went into the hospital initially the first night. They had an A&E. They had diagnosed me with an inflammatory infection. So they just sent me home with a bunch of inflammatory tablets and that kind of thing. But the next day, after a long day of work, I'd realised that it had gotten a lot worse and spread towards my ankle. So my whole foot was swollen up like a balloon. So I actually went back into the hospital, and because my infection levels were high, they had actually checked me in. So I was in for maybe 5 or 6 days before they had done the first operation. The foot was getting that big, and I think my body was producing like a mass amount of white blood cells to fight a infection kind of. So they thought it was more serious than they had known at the time.
Okay.
So basically they cut open my foot and drained it of all the fluid. So they had done that to my right foot, and 2 days later they had to do it to my left foot because that swollen up. And then after I had got the operation on my left foot, it swelled up again, so I had to get another operation a day later. So 3 operations in 5 days, and that basically was the start of it all for me.
Okay. And
After the operations, I was due to be in a wheelchair for 6 months to a year.
okay.
Eventually, it only ended up being about around 7 months, but it feels like a lot longer when you're actually
Yeah.
going
Well.
through it in the pain and the wheelchair.
Absolutely. I mean, and you were fairly active before, weren't you? Like.
Yeah,
So
yeah, man. I worked 10 to 12 hour shifts 6 days a week or 5 days a week. I'd be lucky to get 2 days off. And
played a lot of football too, didn't you?
played a lot of football. Played football maybe 4 or 5 times a week, and done training twice a week as well. And, we would have a match on a Sunday, and then would do like even going to the gym. I was very active in going to the gym. I would go maybe every morning. Just after I finished my late shift, I would have finished. Was working in Domino's at the time. I would have finished around 3 or 4, and then went to the gym. But yeah, man, see, just going from being very active,
Not being able to do anything.
yeah, not do anything at all, and then not even to be able to do anything for yourself, like simple everyday things.
Yeah.
Like
Like.
you would getting people to carry from seat to seat, or people to, like I couldn't actually get up and go to the toilet myself, so I had to use a plastic water bottle.
Right.
Which
Okay.
is pretty.
And you were only in you were in hospital for 5 days, was it, or?
I was in hospital, I think, for 2 weeks. Yeah, two
Okay.
weeks it was, and I actually only had got out because I was causing that much bother and that I didn't want to be there. It was,
Right. Okay. So they were kind of like discharged you for their own
see,
safety.
they had done the operations and they still hadn't a basic idea of what was going on. They had some wee ideas and no idea what it could be, and but it's just because they had done the operations, there wasn't really much else they could do for me. It was just a matter of staying healthy or staying on that right track and the road to recovery. So the hospital didn't actually have much else to do for me.
Yeah. So let's just get you
It
home
was
and
just
then
a long
get you in
road
there
to
like
recovery and yeah,
in the like what physio.
rehabilitation
Yeah.
and stuff basically. Yeah.
Okay. And like you were saying, what was it? You lost a lot of weight as well, didn't you? Like
Yeah, it was drastic. The first day I was actually in hospital. Whenever they checked me in, I think my weight was 73 kilos, and then 6 days later, I think after my third operation, it was 73 went down to 61, so it was 12 kilos I'd lost.
fuck me, man. That's
I don't even know that was possible.
yeah. No, like I wouldn't have thought so myself.
When you think about it,
Yeah, like I think I was looking it up actually. Like 12. What'd you say? Like that's 13 kilos or 12 kilos was
yeah,
it lost?
12 kilos.
12 kilos. So it's a pound shy of a stone.
Oh my
Like
god.
yeah, man, that's a fucking lot of weight in what 5 days? Did you say?
I know.
Like, Jesus Christ.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's cool though. I mean, like you get that out to a few personal trainers to be stealing your plan.
Still in my
like.
resume.
That's it. Yeah, okay. So, how did it then progress from like the wheelchair into like you ended up on
It's
like sleeping aid or
yes. See, to be honest, the main thing, I think it was a really contributing factor as well. See, losing so much weight, especially whenever I'd done a transformation just before because I was actually pretty fat.
okay,
They think about that's a horrible amount of weight to lose, but I went from 17 stone, I think, down to maybe 13 or 14 stone, and then the weight started coming off me more and more then as
Okay.
it started becoming ill. But my body going through such a drastic change in weight, looking at yourself that kind of skinny is
yeah,
it's hard to look at.
Yeah.
Kind of. Have you ever seen the film The Machinist?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I can't actually watch that film anymore
Right,
because
okay.
that reminds me of that scene.
Well, do you know actually fucked up is like the machinist. There's a bit in it where he's writing his weight and he's
Yeah.
sticking it on like the mirror or something.
Yeah.
And there's a bit where he writes it up. He's 123 pounds, which is around 7.5 stone.
Jesus.
I used to be that weight.
Oh my god.
Yeah, when I was like 21, I was like 7.5 stone.
It's mad when
Um,
you look back and see how different your body was.
Yeah,
isn't it?
man, I was painfully thin, but like I kind of like I was anorexically thin, but I never really
Yeah.
battled anorexia. I just ate like one meal a day and didn't really eat much else.
Yeah. It's the way I was for a long time. When I got down to that weight, I couldn't eat food at all. My stomach had shrunk a lot.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah. That's crazy.
I had to change my meal size.
Yeah,
It's a hard thing to
definitely.
do.
Yeah. So then, yeah. So you went. You were in a wheelchair, and you ended up on a sleeping aid and antidepressants.
Yeah, it was basically initially I wanted it. Well, it's hard to admit that you wanted them for depression at the start. I was trying to make it out that I didn't actually need them for that. I was kind of hinting that I wanted sleeping tablets from my doctor, but sleeping tablets are really easy to get addicted to.
Okay. Yeah.
They're very easy to become dependent on.
Excuse me.
And so I didn't really want sleeping tablets because I just didn't want myself getting hooked on them. But they had, I can't, what is they're called? Martazepine, I think
Okay.
it was that they prescribed to me. And basically you take one of them at night, 30 minutes before you go to bed, and it kind of acts as a sleeping tablet and knocks you out. But it knocks you out in the sense of where you're more unconscious rather than getting a good night's sleep.
Okay. So
So
you're groggy the next day.
You basically, if you slept for 12 hours, you would wake up the next day and you'd
Not feel
feel
like-
more exhausted, and it's hard to get yourself in that flow of the day. So you kind of, it's almost like you're starting off on a bad note.
Yeah.
You're starting off like
Kind of fuels the
Yeah.
the problem then, doesn't it?
it just makes you wake up in a bad mood. It's hard to get yourself cheerful and excited about anything when you're waking up on them tablets. And
Yeah, well, if you haven't had any good sleep, I
yeah,
mean, I imagine. I wonder, you know, like when you're when you're sleeping when you're drunk, you don't like you don't get what's called
yeah.
REM sleep. So I imagine maybe when you're taking sleeping tablets, it could be the same kind of thing.
It's almost like your body's just being tricked and resting.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
like, yeah, it's kind of weird.
Okay.
It doesn't actually feel like you've slept at all. It just, the good thing about them was it would stop you having nightmares and that kind of thing. And
Were you
nightmares would,
were you having nightmares?
yeah. See, it wasn't usually a thing for me. Nightmares, I wouldn't often dream that much. But I think about a year and a half after my illness, as I started recovering, my father actually passed. It's coming up to 2 years now in March. My father had actually passed away, so losing him was a big turn that sent me down a darker path again. I was actually kind of on the road to recovery and, getting myself, like, being able to cheer myself up, not just letting
Getting
other
mentally
people,
well,
yeah,
and
see,
then
being able to convince yourself, like, that was a big thing that was changing for me. But when my father passed away, it all kind of changed then, and nothing seemed. I know it's everything. It changed in the sense where nothing seemed like it was going to please me or make me happy anymore. I thought, what's the point if we all kind of die at the end of everything?
yeah.
It kind of.
Were you feeling suicidal at any point, or?
Yeah, I can't, at the start it was. It's not that I was feeling suicidal. I wanted to die just to see him again. It was kind of
Okay.
weird, and I remember saying that. It was a few days after. I remember, like, trying to register that I wasn't going to see him again, not going to be able to talk to him again, and I remember someone said to me, "Oh, well, when you die, you'll see him and you can talk to him again." And I'm not usually, like, I don't believe in all that kind of stuff and heaven and all that kind of thing, but I started thinking to myself, "Oh, well, if I die, maybe I might be able to see him and talk to him." And I was prepared at the time to kill myself if I had known that I could die and talk to him. I would have done that
Okay.
because I felt like I had a lot of
Unfinished.
unfinished things with him and a lot of stuff that we had not talked about. And
You had a bit of a fallout, didn't you? Like,
yeah, seemed the problem with my dad was he was a heavy drinker, and he was one of them people. It was, see, whenever he went down to shout at him and like, not even argue, like, get on to him about stuff, and whenever you're trying to make him realise things, he would have said stupid stuff, and when you're trying to be serious, you would laugh.
yeah, he's just cracking jokes.
Yeah, he had
just
that kind of annoying personality where it was hard to sit and give him a lesson.
Yeah.
But that's what I always felt like the dad. I always felt like I was dad. I'm being a fucking child. But where was I going with that?
He's had a bit of a
Oh,
fallout.
we had a bit of fallout, yeah. So basically, with him drinking, he wasn't supposed to be drinking. It wasn't good for his health, and the doctors had actually
That's
said
whose
that.
health is it good for, really? Like.
Yeah, I know, exactly. But he kept drinking. Like, the odd time he would sober up maybe for a few weeks and start to get himself back on track, and then the smallest wee hiccup, he would kind of relapse.
Okay.
But the main thing that caused the falling out, about maybe 6 months or so before he actually passed away, he had went to the dentist, and the dentist had they were going to just do simple everyday things on his teeth or something, going to do a filling or something, and the dentist actually had seen, I think at the time he had a throat infection, but the dentist said that he didn't want to do any work on him because he thought he had cancer. So because my dad thought he had cancer then, he was waiting to go and see a cancer doctor. He started drinking really heavily,
Okay.
and then later on 2 nights, like, actually we went down to see him that day, me and my mum, and he was kind of saying stuff like, "Oh, if I have cancer, I'm going to kill myself," and we kept saying then, "Stop talking like this, it's nonsense." And the next night he actually had a suicide attempt.
All right. Okay.
But I think he cut his wrist the wrong way. He cut it. I don't know. I don't want to give people advice here.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a
he
way to
had,
do it. There's a way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he had just about missed the main artery. And after that, the night we were sitting in the hospital with him, he was kind of drunk and just having a fight with my brother, and it kind of just made me angry. Like, the type of dad that I seen growing up, that wasn't him, and it was like he had been a drunk a lot, but this was the first time he was ever a different person, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so that night I had actually removed his number and stuff from my phone and told him that I didn't want to speak to him and all this kind of thing. And it wasn't until around 6 months later where my older brother Barry, he actually lives in New York. He came back for a few months, and it was his vacation over there. So he had come back for a few months, and they had actually arranged for me and my dad to go out for like a family dinner together. 'Cause his birthday's actually the day before mine.
Okay. Your dad's is? Or?
Yeah, so
Right.
my dad's is on the 18th, and mine's is on the 19th. It's actually this month as well, and so I just said to my brother, just to be nice for him and do it for everyone else. I went out and just kind of bit the bullet and went under the awkward atmosphere to start with. It wasn't actually too bad, and we was getting on well with this, but he kind of started to realise as the dinner went on, he was drunk, and that there kind of just set me off. So before we actually had left the restaurant, I can't actually remember what it was he'd done, but he'd done something embarrassing or shouted something that people could kind of hear. So I just kind of get up to walk away and get in the car, and my brother had said to me, just go over and give him a hug and tell him you miss him or something like that, or just tell him you love him. And I kind of didn't want to do it at the time, but there was something in my mind that told me to do it. So it was actually turned out to be the last time I seen him as well. But went up, just kind of gave him a wee hug and told him I told him that he had annoyed me, but I was glad to see him. He was looking a lot better than he was,
Yeah,
previous
okay.
time we seen him. And thank God I actually said that, man, because it was the last time I had seen him, and I didn't think to even give him my number back or
Yeah.
unblock his number on my phone. And that was always a big regret to have now, because whenever he passed away 7 weeks later, a lot of them things that I didn't get to do was the main thing in fueling my depression, because I felt like I lost a lot of self-worth. I felt like I couldn't even been a good son, like them last few years, and see knowing how close he was living to me, and the amount of times that I could have went out and
You just
just
walk
had a
past his
talk to him.
house or talk to him, yeah.
It's kind of sad to think about. Like, see now, whenever I look at a lot of people and they're falling out with their parents, and I always try and tell them, it's not worth it, and they'll look at me and think, oh, don't even speak to him. But a lot of people don't realise I was like that with my family, or my father. Like, we had a really big falling out, and at the time, the last time when I spoke to him in that hospital, I genuinely didn't care at the time,
Yeah.
if he went on to commit suicide again. And some of the stuff he had said to my brother just really, really upset me. And in my mind, the true father wouldn't say something like that to his son. Like, I would never ever say that. And
But then he wasn't in a good place. Like,
I know, so
he's,
but it took for losing him to understand what he was kind of going through, because my father's depression started, and his drinking started more severely whenever he had lost his mum and dad.
okay.
And I actually remember a few Christmases after my granny, his mum, actually died on Christmas morning as well, which
That-
is a pretty
yeah,
bad thing. That's
yeah, it's
one
not
of
a-
the reasons I hate Christmas now.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, whenever his mum and dad had passed away, that was a big thing that changed for him, and I never ever understood that.
Yeah.
And he kind of wasn't as close to his mum and dad kind of the way I was, but I'd probably say he was a bit closer. But see, whenever he had died, I'd thought to myself we weren't even that close at the time, and there was so much hate I had for him, but there's so much that I missed about him, and
Yeah.
it was such a...
It's funny, like, when you lose somebody, it puts it into perspective.
It really does, and you think you might not even have feelings towards that person, and you'll say to yourself and you'll convince yourself that you don't, but see, whenever you don't have the opportunity to say it to them again,
Yeah.
you'll regret every single second that you had to take that chance to say.
That's the thing, like, you don't realise just how trivial some
Yeah.
things are until somebody's not around, do you?
And see, even now, people say to me, oh, I don't talk to him, I couldn't care what happens to him, and I'm thinking, you think that, but deep down someday, and a lot of people that I've spoken to that's went through the same kind of thing has always said that you notice when it's too late,
Yeah, that's the thing.
and it's
yeah.
a hard thing to accept and live with.
No, I understand that. I understand that. Fuck, that makes me sound like a hypocrite, man, because I I haven't spoken to my mum in like 4 years.
It's scary to think, man. See, we had went through a lot of stuff that made me not even want to look at him again. Like, and I don't know. It's like, see, my brothers at the end of the day are like the closest people to me. And whenever, like, we've always been there growing up and being young, and we shouldn't have seen some of the stuff we had seen with my parents and stuff fighting, but you know, so once you get older and you start to understand things, we were kind of trying to help him,
Yeah.
and that was what caught it for me that night. It was my brother was kind of pouring his heart out, trying to do every single thing for him, and he was kind of, my dad was just talking to him like he was nothing, you know.
Yeah. So
And
that's why that's why you
I'd
said
lost
that.
a lot of respect for him.
Yeah.
That's kind of.
That's
It's
it.
not that I'd gathered more hate. I just had lost a lot of respect for him.
No,
'Cause
it's yeah, fair enough. I mean, that happens, and you know, like when emotions are flying, you know, you
Yeah.
can't exactly stay in control of that, and you can't let that beat you up, you
Yeah.
know. But then, yeah, so you ended up on obviously antidepressants then after he
Right.
died, and
See, I was using them before he had passed away, but I was only using them maybe once in a week or something like that when I couldn't actually sleep with pain.
okay,
And the odd time if I was having like a wee bit of anxiety as I was going to sleep and stuff, I would have used them. But after he had passed away, I would say I used them every night for about 2 years. So
all right, okay,
yeah, it was the only way I could sleep without, like the odd time I would have fell asleep with exhaustion. But you would have woke up maybe an hour later, and then that had you rejuvenated enough that you didn't need to sleep again.
okay, yeah.
But these were kind of the things that was
Aye,
first.
so you get one decent night's sleep, and then that would be you wouldn't be able to sleep again for a couple of
I'd be
days.
awake
And
for days.
yeah.
Like, the first night after he passed away, I don't think I slept for 3 or 4 days.
Right,
And
okay.
When his coffin, pardon me, when his coffin was in the house, I had actually sat up for the first night, or I don't know if it was the first night or the last night. I had just stood beside the coffin the whole entire night, you know, because he was going to be buried the next day, and
That was the last time you were ever
yeah, it
going to
was
see
the
him.
last time I was going to see him. Even though I was seeing his dead body, it was kind of comforting that I would
Yeah,
have
no,
that
yeah.
image of him. It's kind of weird. Do you get that after someone passes away? You worry about forgetting what they look like or what they sound like, and
Yeah, that's a thing actually.
Ye-
Forgetting
yeah.
like somebody's voice.
it's a
Yeah.
scary thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that's after he passed away. I started using the antidepressants for maybe around 2 years, and that was a hard journey trying to get off them.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
Becoming so dependent on them, it felt like I'd needed them. And then see if I would have got a night where I went to use them and I only realised that my prescription had ran out, and I wouldn't get them for a day or two. I started getting really nervy and getting like really bad anxiety and getting stressed out. I would stress myself out a lot more because immediately I would think, oh, I can't sleep now.
Yeah, that's it.
And,
Like you know, because you were dependent on them.
See, a lot of the nights whenever I would have been laying awake, I would have been like due to all the stuff with the illness, and like at this time, I was recovering from my arthritis. I was recovering from the reactive arthritis for
So what
just
is,
over 2.
Reactive
Reactive arthritis is basically you can get a sudden sickness or like an illness or maybe a bad injury, and it can set off. It can trigger. It can basically trigger the symptoms of arthritis. So basically, it started off in my right foot, and then it went to my left foot, and they first estimated that maybe 10 months to 12 months it could be gone.
Okay.
Because a lot of people in most cases, I think it's maybe like 5 to 10%.
Yeah, because you're very young as well
I'm
to
not
have
mistaken,
like
yeah,
arthritis as
arthritis.
well. Like,
That was a hard pill to swallow as well.
Yeah.
As getting so young.
21, like, and getting
Um,
arthritis. Like.
Because the first year had passed and I wasn't getting better. I was actually starting my joints and inflammation, and like as you can see from my x-rays, and I get these ultrasounds on my joints, you could see that the inflammation wasn't getting better from my ankles. It was passing up towards my knees and like my hands and my elbow and that kind of thing. So a lot of my parts of my other parts of my body was starting to take on well. So then they kind of had realised that maybe I'm actually left with arthritis now. So I think it actually took over 2 years to diagnose.
And now you have what?
So now I was diagnosed with seronegative rheumatoid arthritis.
And what's the difference between seronegative and reactive?
So reactive arthritis can go away. It's
Okay.
basically you don't have it your whole life or anything. It's just one wee thing can set it off, and you can be unwell for a while, and then it's kind of with reactive arthritis would more be like a kind of long-term inflammatory disease kind of or
Okay.
infection, and then it's basically
goes
in most
away, just-
cases it goes away, but sadly in my case it didn't.
Yeah, that sucks.
But see, my older brother as well. Marty, he was actually diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis, and now my mum might actually have some.
So
So
this
they
is something
think,
that runs in your family, you know?
yeah, and it was all around the same time. So it could have been a change in the climate, or it could have been something something really simple. You know, something we ate made us sick, and
Did you, well, you got ill, didn't you? And then that was just
yeah.
it.
See, I
Like,
took really ill, but see, that's the kind of weird thing about it. See, so much of us in the family getting diagnosed, and the thing about the difference between zero negative and normal rheumatoid arthritis is zero negative rheumatoid arthritis means whenever one of your joints or your limbs is being attacked, it usually occurs in the opposite limb. So that's one of the reasons that it triggered on that the fact that it had happened on my right foot and then went to my left foot without
so
infecting
basically,
my
if you
right
get a
knee
if
or
you get a
right hip.
if you get a pain anywhere, like on your in one hand, it's gonna affect the other
Yeah,
hand.
usually it's so if my arthritis went really bad in one of my hands, it would go in the other hand as well. That's the way it kind of occurs.
That's fucking shit.
Yeah, it's rare, so it is.
Yeah.
But I
So
think they'd only kind of caught on because I kept saying to them that whenever one of my limbs was getting sorted, it was happening both, and it had this kind of numb sensation down my arm. It was not long ago now. I can't remember what it was exactly. I'd set it off for them, but see, I think they have to do a certain amount or a certain blood test, or did they actually get clarification that it has zero negative rheumatoid? But see, I don't know if normal arthritis something shows up in your blood, but with zero negative rheumatoid, it doesn't show up. It's a lot harder to see and
right,
find.
okay, yeah.
So it's a lot harder to get diagnosed with it. So yeah, it took around 2 years to get diagnosed.
All right.
But,
That's well. At least you're diagnosed. It's better,
no,
like, you know.
that
like,
was a big relief, and see being so ill and not actually knowing
Knowing
what's
what the
wrong
problem
with
was.
you. It's you sit and say to yourself every day, like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Do you know?
yeah. You just want an
Yeah.
answer.
You feel like you're being punished for something, and
Yeah.
you don't even know what it is. But
And then what was a turning point for you?
the turning point in my depression.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, see, to be honest, I'm still kind of. Well, it's not that I'm depressed now. It's like every so often I would let kind of things get to me and build up. But a big thing for me was I remember seeing there was a young lad in my town that had actually committed suicide off the Caw Bridge, which is the main bridge in Derry. That's maybe about a minute or 2 minutes walk away from my mother's house. So any time that someone actually jumps that bridge, the foil search and rescue come out, and there will be a helicopter out patrolling the foil. So the sad thing is, if you ever hear a helicopter in Derry, it's because someone's probably jumped the bridge and they're out looking for any signs of life,
Okay.
which is pretty sad.
Yeah, that'd be
And,
pretty grim to listen to, actually.
Yeah, and so there was a young lad around my age that actually committed suicide, and at the time, whenever he had first done it, my initial thought is whenever someone does it, I hope that's not me. And I always know that thought was in my mind, but I was always too afraid to do it. And it was a few months after, I think it was maybe 2 months later, it was coming up, and my brother had said to me that they still haven't found his body, and he had said to me and my brother actually have jet skis. My brother was saying, do you want to take the jet skis out onto the foil and we'll kind of have a look for his body and trying to find the body and bring him home for his mum. And my brother had said to me, could you imagine that was Daddy? And I had thought to myself, like, the first thing I wanted to do whenever I found out that he had passed away was see him.
Yeah.
Even though I was going to see him dead, I just wanted to see him and see him at peace. And so whenever I had seen his body, it gave me a lot of closure. So I began thinking that this young lad's family and his friends and his mother is maybe not going to get to see him again. It'll be a good thing if we could go out and make this effort to try and bring him home for his mum. So me and my brother went out. It was actually me and my brother and my cousin had went out that night, and I think we were maybe searching for around 4 or 5 hours. And it turned out we were coming up towards this ridge that we were going to just get to that point and make our turn back and start checking along the other side of the riverbank. And maybe about 20 seconds before we got to the corner of the ridge, we had seen the foil search and rescue boat speeding past us, so we had basically known that someone had made a sighting or made a discovery. So as they had flew past, maybe 10 seconds later, as we came up, we had just seen across in the banking that the kid's body was laying like washed up on the stones. And I think basically his body was carried in, and the water had coming out, so he was left there. And we came in with the tide, and then the tide had left him in. And I think it was actually a farmer that was out, ploughing the fields had discovered him.
Okay.
So it's kind of actually good if that boy hadn't seen him, we would have been the ones to see him and report it. And I'm kind of glad that we didn't actually have to do that now. But seeing that young lad's body and just seeing all the turmoil that their family was going through, and I couldn't even begin to think how the mum felt.
Yeah.
Like for me, feeling so suicidal after my dad had passed away, like I have the utmost respect for them people for getting through what they had gotten through, because it's a hard thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I can't even begin to explain how hard it is to sit and look for. He wasn't related to me, or he wasn't my friend or anything, and it was a hard thing to do, being out there searching for him. But just seeing what his family had went through, that was a point for me.
2 months, man. You know, to not have any answers.
They think that his mum went to sleep every night wondering if he's okay, and just to think that he's in that water, it's the scary thought. It's really, really sad, and I just knew from then on that I couldn't do it to my parents.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it to my family.
Well,
and it wasn't even to start. It wasn't even for their benefit. I just didn't want them seeing any less of me. It's kind of a bit selfish to start, but I'd seen a lot of people saying that, after this a lot of young people would do it just to get rid of their problems, but they don't actually get rid of them. They're passing them on to people that they care about.
Yeah,
And,
I know what you mean. Yeah,
it's kind of heartbreaking then, in the sense when you think about it that way. I don't want anyone else to deal with my problems, and I know what it's like to be down a dark hole and it seems like there's no light, but I didn't really want to ever bring anyone else into that.
Yeah, okay.
But
Cool.
that one wee thing, just being out and seeing what that had done,
That changed your whole perspective.
It didn't stop me being depressed, but it changed my whole perspective on
What you wanted to do to get better. You didn't.
I'd never wanted to kill myself again.
Yeah.
There's the odd time you'll still say it when you're depressed, but
Yeah.
it's changed my my view
Your
on
view
it.
on
I
it.
definitely couldn't go through with it now.
What do you do now, like to like keep yourself mentally
See,
fit?
to keep myself mentally fit, back then, I used to actually just play a lot of sport and go out to the gym, because when you're angry and stressed out, and it's good to go out and just take your anger out and set of weights.
Yeah,
go and
definitely.
throw them around. But because I can't actually do that anymore, can't do any sport or any physical activity really. A lot of things. I've started taking. Oh, actually, it's funny enough. A big interest is listening to podcasts.
Right. Okay.
I would listen to podcasts a lot, and trying to just get different views on different things, like different professional careers and a lot of stuff. Just trying to learn and teach myself a lot of things, so my mind's basically
Keeping
kept more
yourself active. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, a big thing I think is having goals. Do you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Setting tasks for yourself.
Yeah.
Because I think like when you're down and you don't have something to do,
Yeah.
a task that you want to reach, you kind of you're just going to sit there and do nothing, aren't you? You're just
Yeah.
going to be
I think writing down key things that you want to achieve, and writing down goals, and even giving yourself a time frame.
yeah, like write a
I
yearly
think-
plan or something.
Yeah, I
and-
think it's
Yeah.
setting yourself up for winning rather than setting yourself up for failure. And I feel like a lot of people that want to make changes, that if you don't write down your goals and your aspirations, that kind of thing of what you want to do and what you want to get and end up, I feel like it slows down the process for you,
Yeah, okay.
and eventually maybe comes to a halt. So
Read a thing. You're supposed to like write down on a post-it note
yeah,
what you want to achieve each day.
yeah,
So you can only like fit a small amount of things on a post-it note. So say 3 things,
yeah,
and if it doesn't fit in a post-it note, it doesn't fit in your day. So it means then like you can't give yourself too much to do.
yeah,
And if you don't get all 3 of them done, if you don't get any of them done, you just post-it note. It can be done tomorrow, But
it's just having that mentality to go back and do it.
yeah, and if
It's
you
good enough.
if you only get one one of those three things done. You don't add, like tomorrow's isn't five.
Yeah.
It's still just three. You
Yeah.
just something else gets pushed back, but that's okay. That's fine. Not everything has to be achieved. Like
Yeah.
that day, as long as you're just like working towards something.
Yeah, man. That's honestly, that's see it. A lot of people tend to write down a lot of big changes, but that they want. But I feel like starting off small,
Absolutely.
and because when you start off small and then you achieve them, you get that sense of winning, which is actually good rather than failing every time.
Yeah, because you're not reaching the big goal.
Yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
seeing people instead of writing down, like for people that want to lose 5 stone, instead of writing down lose 5 stone, start off lose 5 pounds,
Yeah.
then lose 10 pounds. Kind of gradually build yourself up. Or
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I think just taking it step by step at the start was one of the key things that I needed to see a positive change in myself. And then as I've started to get healthier too, I can actually start to get out in a lot more wee walks and that kind of thing. Go basic kind of hikes, and that has actually helped a lot for me because I love nature. I love just sitting and appreciating nature. It's
Yeah, and
it's one of the most
obviously you haven't
peaceful
really been.
things you can kind of do.
Yeah, and you haven't
Yeah.
really been able to do that. Like so.
Yeah, no man, it's hard. See, you don't actually realize see how much my life has changed now compared to what it was. I think doing different things and doing less sport and all's made me think, and like made my mind run a lot differently.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. I think it's made me more intelligent
Yeah.
because I'm actually sitting down and learning a lot more stuff, and it's kind of mostly the things I can do now. Rather, I can do more mentally challenging things rather than
physical.
physically challenging
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
I mean, that's something, I guess. Like
Yeah.
keeping your mind active. Yeah, for me, I guess, like what I really struggled with was after my friend Rick died.
Yeah.
For anybody that knows Rick that might be listening, like it's difficult to talk to because talk about, sorry, because
Yeah.
he was he was a very private person. But he was 4 years dead this January,
God.
and I was reading through like on his birthday and on the anniversary of his death every year. I send him a message just to tell him he's missed, and that I still.
Do you text them or?
Yeah, I got him on Facebook still, so
Oh,
I
that's
just
good,
send
that's-
I just send him a Facebook message and tell him like he's missed and that I still think he's an asshole,
Yeah.
but he needs to know.
It's true friendship.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But it was this year was the first time I actually read through previous messages we'd actually sent each
Yeah.
other, and read through a few of his Facebook posts, and one of them was he was talking about his depression and that he was a private person, but he wanted to share some of it because it might help other people.
Yeah.
you know. And it's like you're saying about falling out with your dad. It's like Rick and I had this really, really trivial like falling out. It was just a bullshit argument, and I just like stopped talking to him, and
Probably seems a lot more stupid the argument now because.
oh, it was so
of your
fucking
regret
stupid,
for it,
man. Like,
yeah.
yeah, it was just over a girl I'd started seeing. He just voiced an opinion that I wasn't really happy to hear,
Yeah.
and so we just like fell out more because it suited me. He had tried to commit suicide when he was 19, and it was pretty all but successful. He had to get a.
Sorry, what age was he when he passed away?
I think he was 35, so he
Yeah.
was so.
To be honest, he done well after a suicide attempt to go on that long.
Well, he got a liver transplant
Yeah.
basically. Yeah, so he went on. He basically battled alcoholism. So like he'd have periods like where he wouldn't drink at all. I think like his longest sobriety was 5 years, and the thing for Rick was, people always like the people that didn't really get him would have said, you've this liver, you've you know, you've got this new liver. You got to show respect to that. The thing is he never really felt like he deserved it. He never felt like he had any. You're saying there about self worth.
Yeah.
He never really felt like he had any self worth. So never thought he was good enough, and he didn't feel like he deserved that second chance. Though he was grateful for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he like transplants. This is the thing; they don't last forever. The people
Yeah.
think you get a transplant and that's it. You know, eventually you need a new one, whether you abuse it or not. Quite often
Yeah.
you'll need a new one.
Yeah, I think this is up there 10 years and then liver transplant.
I think
lasts, or 12.
well, he had his for 15,
Oh,
I think,
jeez.
or close to it. Like, and he, yeah. So we had fallen out, and we hadn't spoken to each other for, I would say, nearly 2 years. And he phoned me one night. It was Sunday night, and I was sitting with the girlfriend, but we had
It's the one I made a comment about.
yeah, yeah. So sitting in her house, and he phoned me, and I just fucking knew something was wrong, you know. And I didn't want to answer it, but like I hadn't
There's
spoken to him in
something
2
on your
years.
mind that lets you know, isn't it?
Well, like he never phoned you, do you know?
Yeah.
Ever phoned you? Like even when like we're friends for over 10 years, and fucking maybe 5 phone calls in the whole 10 years.
Yeah,
You
it's
know, it was
crazy.
always a text message. You know, and yeah, so he phoned me anyway. It was Sunday night. Hadn't spoken in 2 years. I knew something was wrong. So he's just like, you know, it's good to hear your voice, man. I was hoping we could get out to dinner.
Yeah.
So yeah, arranged to go out for food with him, and then went back to his house and hung out. And he told me then he had 6 months left to live,
Jesus.
which really fucking sucked, man. After you know, not speaking to
You
him.
would have felt like the last 2 years was wasted then.
Well, it really was, man, because it was just over a fucking petty argument. But then so I moved in with him then the following week, and just was general helping him out, you know, getting his shopping done, cleaned the house for him, just fucking hung out, man, like it was
Yeah.
old times, you know, sat smoking some joints and watching movies, listening to music, playing video games, and like that's kind of like what my tattoos on my right arm are for. Like
Yeah.
they're all the video games that we would have played
Always
together.
played together.
And it fucking blows, man. Because see, when you have like player two, like the guy that, you know, like we had a like a way of doing things, like when
Yeah.
we played fucking video games, and we worked really really fucking well as a team.
Yeah.
And I have tried playing with other people, and everybody fucking sucks, man. Like, and everybody's like, "No, I
I
know what I'm
hate that.
doing." Oh fuck, man, people are shit. Like at video games, like when me and him had it down, you know. We probably sucked, but we had our thing.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked. So he had player two, and it sucks not having that anymore.
Yeah.
And
It's,
then
it's small wee things, like small wee changes, that'll make you upset more.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. So then when he did, I remember sitting with him one night, and you know, he'd said he had 6 months left to live, and I think we were 4 months into it, and I was, you know, I'd said to him, you know, I can't grasp this whole you not being here for another year
Yeah.
thing, like, you know, because you seem fine, and he was like, no, look, it's different, you know, and he knew it was different.
Him saying that kind of made you understand that it was.
Yeah,
different as
yeah,
well.
well, yeah. Then he had when he went into hospital, you're saying about, you know, like you're having arguments with your dad or trying to like speak
Yeah.
sense to him, and like Rick did the same thing. He was very deflective. Do you
Yeah.
know, like he cracked jokes and changed the subject,
Yeah, I
and
know.
you know, like, so you're just having, like, you're trying to have this serious argument, and he would be like, you know, he would make you laugh, he would say stuff, and it would deflect it, and it would diffuse your anger, and he was fucking very good at that.
Especially when you're angry at someone, the last thing you want to do is laugh at their jokes.
I know, it's fucking annoying. And he, Yeah, so he went into hospital, man, and there was a night. Um, he was like me and the girlfriend. We were there seeing him, and he was saying about coming with us, and I was like, look, man, you can't come with us. You're in the hospital. You have to stay here.
Yeah.
And he says, well, I don't want to go home. I just wanted to walk you down to the door. I says, no, dude, you have to stay here. Um, he says, no, no, I have to stay here. I'm dying in 3 days. And I was like, sorry, what? And he says, well, I'm dying, aren't I? And I was like, you are, yeah. How do you feel about that? He says, yeah, I'm all right, as long as we're still on schedule. And, like he said, I'm going to be dying in 3 days. And 3 days later, that was it, he died. And
It's scary to think that takes a lot of courage to sit and do that, so it does.
yeah, he was, yeah, man, that's the thing. Like, he was so fucking brave. Like, always so brave. And, like, the people that knew him and loved him really, really valued him. And I just don't think he ever really believed that we did.
Yes.
Um, but then, because, like, Rick always joked about, I'm dying, I'm dying.
Yeah.
It was always just this thing, like you just accepted it, like he's dying.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So when he did die, it didn't phase me. Like I didn't
Yeah.
didn't really I didn't cry. I was just kind of like, right, okay, that's it. I moved on. About 2 weeks later, I had my first like fucking true nightmare of like sleep paralysis,
Yeah.
which I was lying in the bed and I could hear like tapping in the room, and I tried to turn around and open my eyes, and my eyes were like flickering, so it was kind of like seeing like through squinted vision,
God.
and I just felt this presence climbing onto the bed on top of me, and all the like there was big hisses that like all the air was sucked out from underneath between the duvet and me, and it just compressed all down around me, and I felt it snake up over my hand and onto my chest and wrap around my neck, and just fucking jumped up like fucking that was fear.
Yeah.
But I knew it was sleep paralysis. I knew like there wasn't
So
something.
the first
in
time you'd experienced that?
I'd experienced it when I was like 19, so I was like 32 at the time when this happened, or 30 maybe at the time, 31, when that happened. But I'd experienced it when I was 19, but it was slightly different when I was 19.
Yeah.
I was actually I was sleeping in my room, and my housemate came in and goes, dude, wake up, there's a ghost. And I was like, what do you mean there's a ghost? He's like, wake up, there's a ghost. And I was like, dude, fuck off, I'm trying to sleep. He says, no, look, wake up, there's a ghost. And I was like, what do you mean there's a ghost? And I tried to sit up, and right at the end of my bed there was a man standing in my bedroom, and it just floated across the room, hit the chair in my room and disappeared. And that was the first time I had sleep paralysis, but I wasn't afraid.
Yeah.
This was different. This was
Completely different
oh,
feeling.
it was fucking true fear, like. But I knew that it was sleep paralysis, but I was so afraid to go back to sleep every time I
You
tried.
see, it has that kind of eerie feeling whenever you waken. It's, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
You always be afraid to go back to sleep
That's it.
in case you're going to have the same dream.
Yeah, and I was like, as I dozed off, as I kept dozing off, it was I felt like I was on the edge of fear. Do you know?
Yeah.
Like I wasn't going into a restless sleep. I was going into this like just realm of fear
Yeah.
and unconsciousness. So I struggled to sleep for quite a while afterwards. And then probably around like the 6 month mark, it just kind of hit me that, my friend wasn't there anymore.
It takes a long time to register that they're not here. It's kind of weird. It's a hard thought to comprehend.
That's it. And I ended up like having panic attacks myself. There was a night I couldn't pick myself up off the bathroom floor. Like I couldn't breathe, and I really really struggled. And then the girlfriend I was seeing at the time, like I completely sabotaged that relationship, and like I was dealing with, she was going to be going to France, and like I spent all of my time with her,
Yeah.
and previous to that I spent all of my time with my friend Rick, and it just felt like everybody was abandoning me.
Yeah,
You
feel
know,
like you're left alone.
yeah, and like real fear kicked in. So I really, really struggled and like, yeah, fucked a lot of shit up. Said a lot of hurtful things to people that
Yeah.
I didn't mean. Um, and then I guess it's kind of it's difficult to pinpoint what I was going through, but I think like the turning point for me was actually I'd moved in with my friend Johnny.
Yeah.
We had a whiteboard in the kitchen, and one day I came down and I wrote this verse from an Imperfect Circle song, um, and he a couple of days later it was wiped off and he had written something up, but then this turned into this thing where we were writing stuff
Writing
on
stuff each other day.
yeah every other day, and then it transpired that he was actually writing his own poetry, and I was just
Oh,
ripping up.
nice.
Yeah, it was cool, man. But I was just writing like songs that I knew.
You writing
but
your fraudulent poetry.
yeah, that's it. That's it. Like stealing other people's words to describe my feelings. So yeah, I took. I ended up like starting to write my own, and I wrote this one. It was like a pretty particularly bad night, and I wrote this really really dark fucking verse on the whiteboard, and Johnny came in the next morning. He rapped my bedroom door, and he's like, "You all right, man?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And he's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And it's like, just what you've written on the board there, like it's pretty fucking good, man, but it's really fucking dark, you know. I think you need to get some help, you know. And yeah, but being able to do that, being able to write that stuff up there, that was really good. And then
It's freeing for the mind, kind of expressing what you want to say.
yeah, that's it. And then I'd voiced an opinion on because I would contact Rick via Facebook. I voiced a concern, sorry, not an opinion, a concern that, with it being inactive, it might actually get deleted.
Oh, deleted.
And so I got bought a gift, which was a book, and was basically, thought maybe you could write the Rick in this.
I'll write your thought process then.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty good idea.
It was great, and I poured a lot of fucking crazy shit into it, and I wrote it. I read back on some of it like a year later, and the crazy thing about it is when you're feeling really down, you lie to yourself.
Yeah.
Like that's what how I felt anyway. A year later, reading it, I was reading stuff that I'm not even sure it was true at the time, but it definitely didn't feel true reading it a year later. I was writing just things, my own view of myself.
Yeah.
I just go for a coffee and just fucking pour crazy
Page after
thoughts.
page.
And
It's kind of hard whenever you're going through losing someone like that. It's really confusing. Like you're unsure of what way you should feel,
yeah,
and you're unaware of what you should be saying to people, and
that's it.
it's very very confusing.
I struggled, I guess, because I just felt like I let Rick down. Like the one thing I know is that I could never have changed his mind. Like once
Yeah.
he went back to drinking, he like that was it. And I just basically left him and another
To
friend,
do
Andy,
exactly.
to just basically, Andy would go around once in a while and basically tried to, or struggled to get Rick to change his mind. And, I just kind of felt like I let Andy down as well. Andy and I weren't friends. Like, I'm not even
Yeah.
particularly sure we liked each other at the time. But, like, I left Rick by himself.
Yeah.
And although I couldn't have changed his mind, at least he'd have had somebody there to talk to.
See,
you know.
man, you'll after losing something like that, you'll definitely beat yourself up about all the things that you could have done
Yeah,
differently. And
it's just because it was over a fucking trivial argument, man. It was just
Yeah.
some bullshit.
that's what happens. So it's small, kind of wee things that you'll have the biggest regrets about. And
Yeah,
See, that's kind of sad thing for a lot of the time. Maybe for the first year, like anytime anybody talked about my dad, because I still had a lot of regrets and felt guilty about a lot of things, I tended to get a lot of like very emotional and not want to talk about him and not want him to be brought up.
Yeah.
But I think after time, I've had the acceptance that at the time I could have done things differently, but things have just happened the way they've happened, and the positives I'm kind of taking out from it is, I'll now know they do stuff more differently now, and
Yeah, yeah.
kind of
Like,
you understand.
you're a wee bit
things,
more aware of
Yeah.
what, like,
The way things can kind of end.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. Basically, I mean, like, I ended up on. They give me like sleeping tablets and antidepressants,
Yeah.
and I really struggled to take them. Like, my problem with like the medication side of things is I read a book on nutrition called the Optimum Nutrition Bible back in like 2010, and it's basically like a book filled with conspiracy theories on like the pharmaceutical industries and
Big pharma.
yeah, basically, and how like having a healthier diet and eating the right foods is more important for like your mental
Mental and physical health.
yeah, mental well-being. Like, so like I have all of this, like, and it's not one of those books that's like, this is my opinion. It's fucking everything's like scientific study after scientific
Factual,
study.
yeah.
It's still factual, so it's not like you're like reading that book for me was good because it's like now when I read stuff, I don't read it unless it has a
See,
basis
some people
in
can't
science.
spot the difference between reading people's points of view
Opinions
and
and-
opinions rather than actual facts and evidence. It's
That's it. That's it. Well, all you need is a wee number between every statement, and that's a reference point to a study, like
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of changed my viewpoint on like how we're supposed to eat, but it kind of made it harder for me to be able to take tablets
yeah.
because I just kind of like felt like, right, no, I just need to. And I mean, it worked. Like, I struggled with the tablets, but I made sure I was eating healthy.
Yeah.
I focused on getting out to the gym. Actually, was personal training at the time, and I think, and then I ended up running my own gym for a while. But yeah, for me, like, exercise and like that's the big thing that keeps me functioning. And I know whenever I don't get to the gym for after
Yes.
a period of time, like I can
get
feel
so
my mood.
grumpy.
Oh fuck, man, big time. I can't sleep is the big thing. Like,
Yeah.
like now obviously we're doing tattoos. I'm doing tattooing, and you can sit for 9 hours a day,
Yeah.
and like I'm just grateful that the studio I'm in is 10,000 steps away from my house.
Gives you that wee bit more
It,
exercise.
it just gets me the walk I need. But with working in the bar as well, it's like I average fucking 20,000 steps during a shift.
Yeah.
So if I do 3 shifts a week, that's 60,000 steps a week.
That's a
And-
serious amount.
oh, it's fucking crazy, man. I actually used to go through a pair of shoes a month, but only the right shoe, never the left shoe, because I turned on my right foot. So like you would spin, and you just wear a hole in your right shoe. Yeah.
I think that first day in New York City, we done around 30 or 40,000 steps.
Oh wow, that's
And
some
that's
walking,
the
man.
most I've done in a long time,
Oh yeah.
especially since I've had my arthritis.
Well, that's actually the thing is like whenever I was really low, I couldn't sleep, I started going out for walks because I would pace the house.
Yeah.
So I just felt like I had to get out, and I would go for walks. And I think like that year, my average step count a day was 15,000 steps every
Jesus.
day, and that's just fucking madness. Like,
That's insane when you think about it.
yeah, it was, and I lost a lot of weight because of it. Is actually, because
Yeah.
well, I've always struggled with my weight in terms of putting it on. Like,
See, I was the exact opposite. When I
most people
struggled
are,
always
man.
losing it.
Fucking
And then
Christmas there, I ate mince pies and drank Guinness every day and lost a stone.
it's funny how it works, isn't
Oh
it?
fuck! I'm gonna sell that secret to people. Yeah, but yeah. So that was to starting this podcast, it was Rick's 4th anniversary there, and I've wanted to do something.
We shout out to Rick.
Yeah, just and like shout out to him, and maybe try and like reach out to people out there that
Yeah.
are struggling. Hear some stories, success stories, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to talk to a few like organizations. But it's not the only thing that I want to talk about in this. You know, like I'm passionate about exercise and passionate about tattoos and
Yeah.
a wee bit of science. So I want to talk a lot about that as well. One of the great things actually as well, that's inspired me to kind of get this started is the tattoo side of things, because
Yeah.
you know yourself, dude. People sit
You're
down
basically
here.
like a therapist. half the time,
Absolutely, like
sitting-
yeah. I mean, you're sitting one on one with the person for like you could be 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like I think the longest sit I've done is 10.
Yeah. You get to
Um,
know a person a lot in 10 hours.
You do, like when it's just you and them, definitely.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people tell you about their lives, like I've met some really really interesting people just one on one, and hearing what they're going through and the struggles they're going
Yeah.
through, and a lot of the time, you know yourself, a tattoo is a memorial tattoo to a dead loved one,
Yeah.
a lost child, or recovery
Yeah,
from.
like something about their past and their past
yeah,
demons. That
That's
kind of
it.
thing.
Like, there's very few people actually come in and just go, "I want a tattoo because, I like Batman and I want, Batman tattooed."
That's kind of what I loved about tattooing. Like seeing that you can make that difference for people and give people that kind of closure for things by just doing your job. That's what I kind of love about it. We get to help a lot of people
Yeah, definitely.
rather than
It's-
just do something we're getting paid for.
yeah, it's actually really surprising, isn't it? Like, I wanted to like personal train and I wanted to focus on exercise for mental health,
Yeah.
but it's just it's very very difficult thing to do because the fitness industry is so corrupt. Because everybody's just selling transformation programs, which personally I feel actually cause a lot of damage more than they fix sometimes. But with tattooing, you're right. People come in and they're getting a tattoo that usually signifies closure on a subject,
Yeah.
which is fantastic
Yeah.
to be able to do, to sit through and to hear their story. Yeah, I don't really have much more to
Yeah.
say on the subject.
I feel like we've
think-
covered a good basis here.
Yeah, well, the first attempt. I apologise to anybody if we rambled a bit, but yeah, I guess we could just wrap it up.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah,
if you
thanks for
are.
listening. If you are, I'm going to put on the link to this. I'm going to share it on my Instagram and my Twitter, so you can reach me on Twitter at Paula Peach is my Twitter. That's because I'm bald, and when my hair comes through, it's like peach fuzz. And the Instagram is General Chit Chat, so it's general_chit_chat. So you can reach me at either of them. I'll post the links to the podcast. Hopefully I'll put on a few contact details for a few charity organisations.
Yeah, get some.
In my bio as well. So if anybody is struggling or needs to reach out, those details will be there.
And if anybody needs to talk, you can. Like if they feel they need to message us about anything, they can.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. All right, Dee, thanks very much.
No
Thank
worries,
you.
man.
Cheers. Take
Thank
it
you,
easy,
bro.
bro.
Appreciate it, man.
Yep, take it easy. Thanks, bye.
Bye.
Bye.